and welcome to all. This is the University of Fantasy Basketball Podcast. It's your boy, Dr. Dane Andre, and with our distinguished professor, Kilonomics. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm excited. Happy to be here. Basketball is getting closer and closer to that October time frame. And man, it's nothing but drama in Brooklyn, right? So, feels good to possibly talk about something a little bit different. Um,
Yep.
get folks ready and started. So
Yeah, man. So we've got basically we've got a list of proposals that we want to discuss. We want to present to all our constituents, all of our league managers. We need some full engagement here when it comes to voting. But we want to present the proposals just to give you an idea of some of the ideas that have been presented, argued, and debated. And I think we had some earlier, or I said towards the end of the season. Uh, we had some good spirited discussion about some possible changes, and so this led us to putting together the list of proposals for upcoming amendments to our collective bargaining agreement, aka our bylaws. So let's start with proposal number one. And so this is the proposal basically to change the player salary inflation formula. Currently, what we do is we look at the different brackets of rankings, 1 through 16, 17 through 50, yada, yada, yada. So we've kind of tried to, do either a dollar inflation or a percentage inflation. So, 20% of that player's salary, whatever they were making the season before, you might see a 20% increase or a $10 increase if they were ranked between 1 and 16. And that follows down the line, um, with certain intervals of ranking. So if you're over the 100 ranking, then there's no inflation um, penalized. So now, we've heard some questions regarding whether that's a viable method
questions.
to
Folks were throwing sticks and stones and rocks. They were like, our league is fraudulent. What are
yeah,
these guys doing? You know, I'm talking about leaving the league because there's no way to build a roster or build a team. Um,
right. So
it's kind of one of those things. Everybody's playing by the same system, right?
right,
We've all got the same set of rules. So,
right,
for you to, critique or throw criticism, but not, set up your team or your organization in a direction where you can build to be successful. I mean, that's also pretty telling. Uh,
yeah. So it is what it is, though. I mean, we got some good direction and some good thoughts presented behind that, and I think you know it's all in making the league a little stronger and a little bit more competitive. So the summary basically of the new formula being proposed is that we move to an inflation based system where it's you know, I don't even know what was written there. That was anyway. It's going to be basically a percentage of the salary cap.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that
Yeah, I
is.
mean, basically we're gonna move to a system where, each year teams got, a salary cap.
Yeah,
And so the amount of money that they're going to inflate by is going to be a percentage of that total team salary cap.
right.
One thing I'll also mention is, previously, how we figured out our rookie's second year price is we Yahoo's market analysis, right, to determine like what was the average price that rookies were going for to determine what their price would be. Actually, a multiple of that. So it was like a divide by two, right, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was like whatever they
Professor.
proposed as the auction value, we cut that in half and then made that the rookie price. But you know, Yahoo rankings sometimes are weird, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I say that, right, like to like, you know, it was the first cut, right, and so there were certainly some glaring like weaknesses to how we had set things set up. So
Right. So now, you know, we're looking at it being like players 1 through 10, you get a 10% inflation based on 10% of the new salary cap for the season coming up. 11 through 24 will get an 8% increase. Players 25 through 48 will see 6%. Um, Players 49 through 80 will see a 5%, and then 80 through 100 will see a 3% increase. I mean, we could have done it. We will massage those numbers a little bit. We might go to like 6%, um, uh, down to a 4% for players 49 through 80, and then a 1% for 80 through 100. And then, you know, again, a 0.5% for players ranked lower than 100. So everyone's being inflated now,
right.
regardless, and that's one of the major changes. You know, but 0.5% of the salary cap is going to equate to, you know, pennies, dollar, maybe, I don't know, something like that. So, but in any case, you'll still have this. You'll have a decision point for every player on the roster, even guys that sat out the year with an injury. So, um, you know, you know, that's proposal one. If you've got, I hope you have some thoughts on it, and whether you like the new one or you want to stay with the old one. Maybe you've got a suggestion of the ranking intervals, and the percentage of inflation. You know, drop a comment on the video when you see this. That will give us an indication. We'll also put out some maybe a survey or something, or do some polls on the Discord chat, or something, maybe over email. We got to get everyone's response though. We'd like to hear from everyone. So of course we'll do majority rules, but you know, eventually we kind of want to increase the level of engagement that we're getting from all our managers. So shall we move on?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I think this is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think this inflation based on the salary cap is, I think, probably a much more um, effective system. So, so yeah, we'll see that. So, proposal two, placing a limit on the number of consecutive years that any one player can be rostered without entering free agency. So this was related to the comment about, you know, how many guys really don't re-enter free agency. And then if you basically get a stud from the rookie draft, you know, placing a cap on how long you can have them before they become available to the pool seemed like a really good, um, you know, wrinkle to introduce. I agree with that. I mean, we want to reward people for having, um, drafting guys and drafting well, and also getting guys from the free agency draft on good values. We want to reward that behavior, but I think having a maximum of years that they can spend on your roster is probably, or anybody's roster without re-entering the pool, is probably a good thing, because guys can get traded from team to team and you never see them in the pool ever again. So unless you make a trade, and then, you know, as you know, with some guys, they end up on teams that do not trade at all, and that becomes a problem. So I think this is a good way to kind of for a team who maybe it will motivate a team to actually make a trade if they see that they're coming up on a contract year, so to speak, with a player. You might want to get some value for a guy who you might lose in free agency next year.
Right. It's all about those windows, right? Everybody always talks about the championship window, right? And having
Yeah.
to do a trade so they can bring a guy so that they can, win as many championships. They can win like 4 years or 5 years. So I think this is going to be an excellent addition that adds, some more competitiveness and kind of like an urgency, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
everything's
like you
got to,
said, that window is definitely a wrinkle that it will introduce. I think we have that window in some of our heads, kind of conceptually, but now it's a real thing with this. You can read, but basically it's drafted rookies you can keep for a maximum of 4 years before making them restricted free agents. Now, I think we're going to do we what we do in our other dynasty league, WTT, where a restricted free agent you can actually match on them, right? If you drafted the guy, you'll be able to match on whatever someone is willing to offer. So that's gonna introduce a fun wrinkle for association as well.
there is nothing like seeing when you see like some other owner trying to pry your precious player over and giving them an offer sheet, man. Man, you start taking down names and you're like, all right, I see what you're doing out there. I'm gonna remember this next time we come to the trade to the trade table that you were
Yeah.
trying to, take away my player or inflate that guy's price. So
Mingling with my things.
yeah, right. You
Yeah.
got you bringing them down to New York, right? Doing dinner before, right? The deadline even happens.
Yeah, man. Yeah. A lot of Jalen Brunson activity going on. Yeah, so same thing with veterans and players that you get through the waiver wire. We're putting a 5-year max on those guys. So um no restricted free agents. They're just they're not restricted free agents. They just jump back in the pool after the 5th year. All right, so let's move to number 3. Which is allowing teams to enter free agency and the new season, being over the new salary budget, or the projected salary budget, aka so introducing basically the soft cap concept. And so you can enter the new season as a luxury tax team, but there's a lot of conditions to that. So basically, the first condition is for a player to acquire what we will call the bird rights here, in association. That'll be a sort of a new concept for the association. But you can gain bird rights on a player if you've owned them for, I don't like that terminology, but if they're on your roster for 4 consecutive years, you earn bird rights, or a roster for 4 consecutive years. So meaning, they could have been traded, they could have been not dropped and released and picked up and all that. I think we stopped the clock on that. Once they've been released, you're back to year 1, I think, right?
Yep.
So bird rights can be transferred via trade, but the idea is that, for example, you have the bird rights and RFA rights to a rookie that you draft, but they also gain bird rights, and you can go over the cap if you want to re-sign your full roster with that player on the team. So you have to have at least one player with bird rights to do this, and you have to maintain your roster of 12 to enter the new season, which means you will not be a participant in the upcoming free agency draft that year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's crystal clear.
Yeah.
It's another nice wrinkle, and giving teams the ability to run it back, right? Like
Yeah.
you can you can run it back with the same roster and,
Yeah.
still be over that soft cap.
Yeah, now we're also gonna and so the luxury tax teams, you're still gonna you still have that limitation. You can't go over the hard cap, which is 2 times the soft cap. And we're gonna revisit that
Yeah.
number later on. It's a pretty generous number right now, but I think we're still trying to figure it out, see how it works. And I'm sure we'll change that later on. But um, and then this is the another interesting part. If you enter the season as a luxury tax team, you will be taxed at that point, in addition to at the end of the year if you still are over the tax by the end of the year. So that's now like a double tax, which is a real thing in the NBA as well. Like you can be double taxed.
Yeah, I mean, we get double taxed every day, man. Like, it's funny, right? America fought the British, right? Because they were getting double or triple tax or whatever it was, right? You had the whole Tea Party thing,
Mhm.
right? But every paycheck that I get taxed. I go into the store, I mean, I can go across the border to New Hampshire. Right now, I'm like in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I pay a tax. I pay a sales tax on almost everything.
Right, right.
I'm getting hit twice all the time.
So it just
So
mean just so the pot is this is how we are gonna increase the pot without necessarily increasing the dues for the standard dues for playing. So it's a nice system. It's been working out. It's been very lucrative for those who have won within the past couple of years. So yeah, that's proposal 3. I'm gonna let you take this one, or proposal 4.
yeah, so proposal 4 is a change from how we've allocated the free agency auction bid money. So typically, each team gets a uniform amount. Previous seasons, it's been $100 that every team gets at the end of the unrestricted free agency draft or the free agency draft, whatever you want to call it. Now, the new change is, well, we've noticed not every team has spent all of the money in the free agency draft. So how about we take that into consideration where, teams don't necessarily have to overpay, in their estimation of what a player's value is in free agency, but be able to reserve some of that money so that they have it available in their FAAB budget allocation. So rather than every team just automatically gets,
$100.
$100, or some flat amount of money after the free agency draft, what it's now going to be, or what we're now proposing, is that we calculate it based off of what is the money that they have left over after the free agency draft. And so the way that that's calculated is the soft cap minus whatever salary that you spend. And so you'll be able to have this money to spend on waiver pickups throughout the season, right? And so, this is a nice way to also kind of control, or not control, but you won't have these waiver guys set at like $25 or $30, right? So it adds another level of strategy and a little bit of like price control as far as not in making sure that they're not getting too out of whack with what that'll be.
Yeah, I like
And
that. I like that it does add some price control to those free agents and those waiver guys, and then it makes them more I guess keepable
yep.
in the next season. The
Mhm.
other thing it does too is that it, for teams that are let's call it like talent rich,
Mhm.
you may have less money to operate with in on the waiver wire, and for those who are talent poor, you have more money to operate with, and you might be able to get you a nice steal if you're active. I mean, it's all about your level of activity, but you have more money to play with in when you're trying to find a gem off the waiver wire. So I mean, it's all geared towards helping teams build their talent base as well. So
And so I guess another question, I don't know if this just came to mind, right? So say I've got $40 to spend on waiver pickups and I spend, $13 on XYZ player, right? So I would only have $27 left.
mhm.
So that player's value is now set at $13, right? I don't get that money back. The only way, if I want to increase that waiver, right, is to move it in a trade. So right, that shows the level of thought you've got to consider when you're making these pickups, right? It's like, okay, what's kind of the other team's kind of finance situation, and what do they like to do, right? So yeah, I mean, I just love trying to play that trade off. Of
Yeah,
course, I got a siren going off in the background. It must be a trade alert. Speedster's got a trade going on.
I think so. It must something's in the works.
Something's brewing.
Yeah, them and Rucker Park got something going on right now. I'm sure.
Yeah, Rocket Park. How could I forget? Oh
Let's move
man,
on
Rocket
to
Park is gonna have a ball.
let's go
Yeah,
to proposal 5, man.
yeah. Proposal 5 is expanding the lottery teams to 14 teams. Right there's no reason why we can't expand it to mirror the NBA, mainly because the odds, once you get past team 9, it's just so low, right? Of them jumping up into say that top 4 or top 5 picks, and it also incentivizes people, continue to pay attention, continue to win, right? Like, it's so flat at the top that make sure that your Yahoo ranking is not getting killed, right? And you moving into silver, and you throwing dirt on to the reputation of the league, right? Because we're trying to become the first diamond league,
Yeah,
and so we need folks to be on their P's and Q's and be competitive, throughout the season.
absolutely, absolutely. So we wanna get your feedback on these proposals. I think we'll probably throw out a few different avenues of collecting feedback, but feel free to comment on the video if you hear something, you got a question, you got a comment, you got some way that you're leaning towards with each proposal. Make your voice be heard, and thank you for listening. I think that's where we're gonna end it. Any final thoughts, Killer?
And I can't wait. I'm excited to get the feedback, from managers. We're trying to make this league more competitive, more fun, adding
Mhm.
new strategies, etc. So,
Yeah.
please let us know, right? Like we take nothing personal. We love debate and discussion,
Yeah.
things of that sort. So
And so most importantly, any
that
any changes that go into effect, we'll start to put together those things, but really it's they won't take effect until the 2023-24 season. So if you made some trades that would not really sit well with some of these proposed trade changes, we're just going to give you some time to kind of readjust and start to look towards the future, start to think about what kind of moves you want to make that can be you could take advantage of with the new changes coming up. So nothing imminent, but we definitely want to make the decisions sooner than later, so we can start to go into the season with new developed strategies. Well, I think that's everything, man. We'll come up with the schedule for I'm sure everyone's wondering when the sheet is coming out, and that's pretty much done, I think. We'll release the new values pretty soon. We'll set a keeper deadline. We'll all announce all this on over email and Discord, and then we'll set a date for the rookie and Wait, no, we didn't do the rookie draft yet. Oh yeah,
We haven't
so
done
we
the
still
rookie
gotta go.
draft, man.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
coming up. So yeah, we'll still look out for dates with the rookie draft. You got the lottery. Everyone knows where they're picking by now, I think. But we've got the rookie draft to do. We still got the UFA auction to do, and then you set the keeper deadline, and then
Off to the races,
off to the
man.
races, y'all. So we almost there. Almost there.
All right.
All right, well, peace, guys.